Hello and welcome to another 3-string cigar box guitar lesson. I'm Sean from Coda Guitar and we are now looking at some chords. So we're still on 3 strings, we're still using G-D-G tuning, but basically we're just going to be using some really well-known songs as examples of how you can put different chords together and sort of adapt them for a 3-string cigar box. So let's just tune up and we'll get straight into it. So low G and middle D and high G. Okay, so using a flat pick in this one. I did a lesson, Sunshine You Love, a few weeks ago, where looking at sort of flat picking, how to hold it and all the rest of it in quite a lot of details. So please check that one out. If I'll put a link to it. If you've sort of a beginner and you don't feel like you've had that much experience, it's quite useful to get your sort of technique down. So chords. I've done a couple of PDFs, put them on the website codatuition.com, and they're basically grouped in different types of chords. So there's one PDF which works really well with this song. It's got like a beginner sheet which has got a fairly sort of detailed list of useful beginner sort of level chords, and then there's another sheet which is looking at bar chords and movable chords, so that you can sort of expand your playing a little bit. You can look at how you can play like different chord shapes in different places on the fretboard, locating like root notes. So there's like a root note finder as well. So as in, if we've got like a C minor chord, the root note is a C, for example, a C note. So that's fantastically useful. You probably get quite a lot of use out of it for the entire duration of your cigar box playing experience. So please consider downloading that. It really helps support the channel. It's very reasonably priced and also half price for the first 7 days. But also we've got some free PDF downloads for each of these songs. So you can go to the channel and you can download the chord sequence for this song, Heart of Gold. There's no tab, just for like copyright reasons, but there is the chords. There are the chords just in sequence, so it'd be quite useful if you go and get that. It'll be quite helpful for when we're sort of going through how to play the song in this lesson. And let's get into it. So we've got E minor, C, D, and G. Okay, so the E minor that's like our sort of standard shape for 3 strings, and the C, that's our standard shape for 3 strings. This particular D, it's actually a D power chord, a D5, just because it works much better than coming all the way up here. It just sort of fits into the sequence much better. And then the G, so on that beginner PDF, we've either got just fret 4, so just a single note. I've just put the easiest sort of possible version down. But if you wanted, you could add in an extra note. You could add that in onto fret 5. Okay. So in the intro, the very beginning, we've got E minor and D, and it just goes back to E minor, and then we add the other 2 chords in later on. So let's just get stuck straight into the intro, and we've got E minor, and what might be quite good to start with is if you do a bit of alternate strumming, so just even speed down and up strokes. Okay. And also there's a particular sound. What he's doing, he's kind of punctuating, he's kind of pinching the chord down for every strum, just for this intro, not for the whole song, and it gives it a nice sort of punchy character. All right. So the E minor, we're on fret 2 and fret 4, so fret 2 on the D, fret 4 on the low G. Okay, and so you want to get your hand in a sort of comfortable position. Sometimes it's better to have your thumb sort of a bit further down if you've not been playing for so long. But if you've been playing for a bit longer, you might find you can kind of sort of cradle the neck a little bit more. It's all about like bridging your fingers. If you get a good bridge with your fingers, sometimes you can be a little bit diagonally on as well. You don't have to be completely sort of straight angled in with the frets. Sometimes you can sort of like slant your fingers off slightly, but try to get a good sound out of it. Make sure you're bridging so you're not catching strings underneath. That's pretty important. And then just try and get as comfortable a position as possible so you can do that pinching. And if you just practice that with alternate strumming, like so. Alongside Sunshine You Love, there was also 20th Century Boy, T-Rex, so that's also like sort of beginner level, and that's a bit more chord based. So I was like looking at how to sort of strumming technique, how it differs slightly from like picking technique when you're playing riffs. So that might be quite useful to have a look at as well. But here, 4 beats in a bar, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we're kind of creating half beat notes with the down and the upstrokes. Okay. So if you maybe practice that with that sort of punctuating with your fretting hand on the chord. But all we're going to do to add like one extra thing to it to make it sound pretty like the song is just play a bass note at the beginning. So it's like bass with a down straight in with an up strum. So it's bass, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Bass, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. When we do the punctuating, with this G still ringing out, but it's okay. It sort of adds a little bit of a drone in there. We're finished on an up, and we're just going straight to that D power chord, the D5. Just give it a single strum. And again, watch your bridging so you're not catching the middle string. And then straight back onto the E minor, just give that a single strum as well. So it's bass, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, D, E minor. All right, and then the rhythm. So they're all half beat notes, 4 beats in a bar, but the D, that's 1.5 beats. So we're coming in 1, 2, and we're coming in on the E minor halfway through beats 2 and 3. So it's 3, 4, bass, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and. Okay. There's a riff at the end. And again, there's another beginner level video which is just looking at basic sort of fretting technique. I'll put a link to it, and that also looks at like hammer-ons and pull-offs. So that's when you create notes with your fretting hand without picking every single one. So there's just a single hammer-on here. So what we're doing is we're on fret 2 of the low string, hammering onto fret 4, and then we're going to open string, open D, and then fret 2 of that middle D. So fret 2 of the low G, hammer onto fret 4 with your first finger, third finger, give it a good slap down. You've got to be quite vigorous. If you just place it, you don't really get much sound. You've got to give it a good whack down, particularly if you've got like thicker strings. Okay. And so that hammer on, so that the down and the ups were actually half beat strums. This hammer on creates an even faster rhythmical layer of quarter beats, just 2 quarter beats. And then those last 2 are the same speed as the down and the up strums. And And so when you're strumming, you're quite loose, quite like relaxed with your wrist. But when you play riffs, you've got to kind of rein it in, like be a little bit more controlled. So I quite often find a sort of anchor point with my sort of base of my palm. And so on a cigar box, particularly if you're playing the bass strings, you might want to be sort of resting around here somewhere. Sometimes people will like rest their little finger underneath as well. So see what works for you. Maybe go for the wrist first and see how that works. As long as you're not palm muting by mistake, we actually want to keep that open. So the timing on this first bit is it's 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we're coming back in on E minor halfway between beats 2 and 3, and then we start the riff halfway in between beats 3 and 4. Alright, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and a 4 and. I'll just go a bit slower. 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and a 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and a 4 and. Intro. So little harmonica riff comes in now. This is still the intro because it's like instrumental, but we call it like an instrumental riff. So this is over E minor, it's the first chord, C. So C is a little bit of a stretch. It's fret 2, fret 5. It's only actually 1 fret higher, so fingers 1 and 3 for the E minor, 1 and 4 for the C, fret 5, still fret 2 open. Still that D5, and then we'll go for G. So like I was saying, completely fine to either use 1 finger or even 2 fingers for that one. And we've got exactly half a bar per chord here. Nothing particularly exciting with the rhythm because the harmonica's a little bit more prominent in this part. So it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So giving it a slightly sort of country sound. Again, I can pick the bass, so I'm always going to pick this low string for the first note of each chord. So I can play that with a down, so fret 4 on the E minor, and then maybe down up. So that's 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. That again, so it's E minor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 and. Okay. What people actually frequently do is they'll sometimes jump off a chord early and actually play the open strings in between. So if you see what I was doing there, so like on that upstroke just in between the E minor and the D, that's an open string, and particularly because we're tuned to a chord anyway, it works pretty well, and it just really allows your left hand to move in a little bit more of a relaxed way, so we don't have to be on to the last minute and then move super quick like that. So I probably won't do it from the E minor to the C because that's really close shape wise, but I might do it from the C to the D. And I might do it from the D up to the G as well. So we've got like down on the bass, down, strum, down, up, C, down, strum, down, up on the open, D, strum down, up on the open maybe, and then hit the G. And then when we repeat it, we'll do the same from off that G as well. So I can jump off that early and then back to the E minor. A bit slower. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a 2-bar cycle there, and over this harmonica part, or underneath it rather, you do that 3 times. So that E minor, C, D, G 3 times, and then the 4th time is just back to the very opening riff. Back to that part. So if I just play, I'll play all that. So right from the start. So 3, 4, E minor, second time, so 3rd time, still the same. And then last time, riff. Verse, exactly the same as that harmonica sequence. So E minor, C, D, G. But we only do it 3 times in the verse. That just fits exactly with the lyrics, the number of lines of lyrics that he's got. Chorus. So this is E minor, G. So again, we can either go for that G or that G, whichever one you prefer the sound of. So 1 finger or 2 fingers. And then C, and then back to, there's a little bass, little bass rundown I'll go through in a minute, but back to G. So I'd probably actually play the open strings first, after the C, and then maybe finish with that chord sort of later on in the G strums. So whole bar of E minor, whole bar of G. It's actually 1.5 bars of C, and then you're dropping down to G like that. So again, the vocals are quite prominent here, so we don't need to do anything particularly sort of stand out-ish with the chords. So I was just doing a lot of downstrokes for the E minor and the G. We're going to make the C stand out a bit more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I don't know if you can see what I'm doing there, but I'm kind of putting accents in by, you can strum a little bit louder, but you can also strum more strings. So you can 1, 2, 3, 4. So I was just hitting the accent on beats 2 and 4. So it's almost like bass, chord, bass, chord. And again, they're half beat notes. So it's like 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the E minor and the G with the same way of playing. So those strums are now twice as fast because they're all downstrokes and they're all half beat notes. But when we get to the C, we want this to stand out a bit, and we're going to do the same punctuating, pinching every single strum as we did in the intro, and it's. And so I'm going to go back to alternate just because it works better for this sound. So down, up, down, up, down. So I'll finish it off in a minute. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So that's 1 and 2 and, or 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 alternates there. Let that ring over and do another up down. So we're not playing on beat 3, we're ringing over, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So there's an offbeat there. Keep that movement going. 1, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then to finish off, we've got a bass, descending bass run. So that's like fret 5, fret 4, fret 2, open. If you find this difficult, you could literally just play those notes. So you could go and maybe do an up down on the open strings at the end. Keep it simple. So bass. Okay, but if you want to maybe just fill it out a little bit, when we do the descending bass, we could go. So I'm effectively going from C to E minor there. So finger 4 to finger 3, still with the clipped, pinched notes. And then I'm moving up right at the end, so it's just fret 2 on the low string. Sounds a bit weird on its own, but it works in context. And then just finish on the open G5. So the C is miss, up, down, final bar. And then maybe for the final up down on the G, we can go back to that fret 4 G instead of just keeping on the power chord. All of the chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I'll do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay. So that is basically it. The structure gets slightly funny towards the end, but with the majority of songs, if you've got you know, say three parts to the song, you can play nearly all of it. So we've got an intro. We've actually got 4 parts because we've got the harmonica part. Directly after this first chorus, it goes back to the harmonica sequence, which comes in just after the very beginning intro, and you can basically just go through, you know, about 90% of the song just with that. So we've got intro, harmonica, verse, chorus, harmonica, verse, chorus, and then you'll have to listen to the rest of it to finish it off. But certainly at sort of beginner level, you know, don't worry if you can't play a full song. It's quite good to, you know, get like a couple of minutes under your belt. That's really useful. You often get like slightly kind of easier adapted versions of songs. Say if like kids are doing like grade exams and stuff, they'll often be like songs which are you know, well-known famous songs, but they may be either simplified and often shortened for early level grades, because nobody expects that somebody can play for 5 minutes straight if they've only been playing for like 2 months, for example. You know, if you can play for a minute and a half, that's fantastic. So that particular arrangement, intro, harmonica, verse, chorus, maybe do it again, harmonica, verse, chorus. That is a really good sort of like solid chunk of the song, and it'd be great to, you know, sort of get a flow through all of that. Yep, so that's it. We're going to do a few more sort of well-known songs based around chords, and like I said, if you like this content, please consider downloading the chord boxes, the chord diagrams, and I mean, really useful for your playing, but really helpful if you can support the channel as well. And we will see you here again soon on Coded Guitar.